and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today on Windows and Current Affairs, we take an outlook, a general outlook over international tourism and how is it strongly related or relevant to the most charming hotspots worldwide, and on top of them, of course, is Egypt. So when we talk about Egypt, we talk about international tourism. We talk about international tourism marketing and travel marketing. Of course, tourism possesses a lot of charming hotspots. It possesses 1/3 of the world monuments. It possesses new venues for travelers to explore. It possesses a lot of fronts when we need to see and experience. When it comes to traveling experience or travel experience, it is Egypt that we have to visit. And on this particular topic, we're very delighted to be having with us Mr. Alaa Khalifa, and he's an international tourism promotional marketing expert. He's going to give us his very generous input about the marketing of traveling and tourism, and when it comes to addressing international tourism. Good evening, Mr. Khalifa. Let's first talk about the what should we start off with?
Good evening.
You take it. You choose.
First of all, it's a pleasure being with you for a second time in the show.
I really
and it's always a pleasure meeting you and coming and participating in these beautiful forums, talking about tourism in Egypt and international tourism in general. Regarding the topic that you have raised, of course, Egypt is playing now a big role in attracting a lot of international tourists. We are one of the fastest growing countries in the world for recovering and attracting more tourists today. In 2018, we have been growing more than 58% number of tourists coming back to Egypt, which means the Egyptian tourism is recovering very quickly. We are at the moment attracting different markets from all over the world, and according to the latest statistics of last year, we've attracted 13.8 million tourists to Egypt, and the number is increasing. We have had anticipation that the number would reach almost 17 million by the end of 2020. But of course, because of the coronavirus, which we have not seen a full direct impact, however, we still have indicators that it's going to affect international tourism, especially for the areas of Southeast Asia, especially for Southeast Asians not able to travel outside their own countries. So we may witness a type of a drop in the first quarter, but then we are expecting that it's going to pick up again in the summer and on the third quarter of the year. Egypt still continue to attract a lot of people from all over the world. We are a country that has it all. We have everything.
True.
So all what we need right now is to organize the house from inside, and things will be much better than the last few years. We're progressing. Indicators showing that the government is putting tourism as first priority. So we are thinking by the end of 2020, by the opening of the new museum, is going to create a lot of buzz in the entire world, which will attract attention towards Egypt again.
Exactly, but of course this is all expected for Egypt because of too many advantages that we are enjoying right here on this very dear, precious part of the world. But then we talk about competition. Places like, for example, Spain, Mexico. Let's not talk about Italy because Italy has history. I mean, a very normal place, Dubai. They have a lot of revenues and they have a lot of income when it comes to promoting tourism. Why exactly, or how exactly, let me shift to how exactly are they doing this?
Okay. First of all, there is no normal place. There is a place that is well developed as a tourist destination. So when you are taking a site, one of the sites, one of the countries, in any part of the world. We don't call that place, it's a normal place, but still people are visiting the place. It is not, because people don't normally go to normal places. They don't go to standard places. There are so many cities around the world with very few tourists. When the examples that you have given, such as Spain or Italy or other countries around the world, or Dubai, these are very well organized destinations. They have created what we call today a travel persona. A travel persona is one of the most important things that attracts travelers from all over the world, because they have their own brand. One thing important to know is that these cities or these destinations have got a super infrastructure and super friendly environment towards tourists and tourism. The support that they give to this industry is endless. For example, if you take Dubai, for example, you've got world famous hotels, first-class roads, zero hassle for travelers, ease of access everywhere, and a premium type of transportation. And that's what tourism needs, experience. People, when they go to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, to other famous destinations around the world, they have an experience. They create an experience. Tourism is an experience. If you love it, you will repeat it. If you don't, you will hate it forever.
Exactly, even if you possess monuments. But then let us give a definition, a little bit more clear definition of the travel persona, because that type of word might be unfamiliar to some tourism experts, because over here, because we're very, very rich with historical background and rich with history, rich with the charming spots with beaches and you know, you name it, even medical tourism, religious tourism, and all other types of even the cuisine, the gastronomy even could attract visitors. So we don't really care about the travel persona. I mean, people are so confident about what they have, what they possess. So talk to us about the importance of the travel or the travel persona, what you said.
First of all, to simplify it for you, travel persona is what characterizes a destination to become a unique destination that lingers to a certain generation. For example, when you talk about Spain, okay, it lingers to a generation, the millennials, more than it lingers to Generation X, for example. In marketing, we define generations as by the time they were born. Like there is what we call Generation X. People were born around the 40s, the 50s. There is Generation Z, which people are born in the 60s and the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. And there is the millennials. There are people who are actually born starting from the year 2000. So we've got three generations. The behavior or the purchase behavior of these generations is quite different than the others. So what happens is that destinations around the world, they are creating for themselves a travel persona, which means some characteristics that defines that destination towards travel. For example, Dubai, the travel persona for Dubai is a place of fun. It's a lot of entertainment. There's a lot of outgoing areas. It's not a place for history, right? It is a place where you actually enjoy different kind of sports that more fit into the millennials kind of generation, and still attracting the Generation Z, but it's attracting Generation Z more for business rather than the other type of generation. What I mean here is that when we have when we do divide our destinations or our cities and put for each city or label each city with a travel persona, then people will recognize the city and they will come specifically for that city. One of the most important things in the modern marketing for destinations is to label each city with what it's famous for. For example, what do we have? Sharm el-Sheikh. Sharm el-Sheikh is famous for what? It's famous for diving, right?
Fishing.
That's the travel persona for Sharm el-Sheikh. A place where people have a lot of entertainment at night, that has nature around it, natural reserves like Ras Muhammad and other areas. What covers Sharm el-Sheikh, it is a destination or a resort that has the best diving spot in the world, right? We can't come to Sharm el-Sheikh and market it as a place for healing, for example, or a place for medical tourism, or as a place for cultural tourism, right? Then we are changing the travel persona. In modern tourism marketing, is that they always advise you not to market a whole country as a destination that has a lot of tourist products with multiple personas. You can't. You have to market different destinations separately. You need to market Sharm separately, then Hurghada separately, then Aswan separately, then Luxor separately. Create a brand for each city, right? This helps a lot whenever a city gets a drop in the number of tourists because of any reason, because of could be a natural event, or it could be a natural disaster, or it could be terrorism, or it could be any other thing that keeps this city out of the map, that doesn't keep all the other cities out of the map, which means people don't label the entire country as one. One of the most important things that we know about Egypt is that it is a destination that has everything, right? We do have everything. But there are areas that are more potentials, and more facilities, and more monuments than others. Their Sharm is good for diving, is good for as a sea resort. Luxor is a cultural tourism hub, or a city of the world. And Cairo is the medieval city. It's the Islamic, the Coptic, the great culture and tradition, the mix between the two religions. Cairo is a 1,000 years old city. It has its own brand. Alexandria, it has its own brand, a Greek-Roman style sentiment of Alexandria. So if we market all of these different cities in a separate travel personas, in a separate brand, then we will be reaching more development, more interest. We will raising more interest for travelers who come to Egypt to see these destinations. Whatever happened in one of these destinations, that doesn't negate the fact that people can still go to the other cities or the other destinations we're talking about. In my opinion, what we need right now in order to attract different markets from all over the world, especially to compensate some of the markets that we lost, such as the Russian market, for example. We've lost it since November 2015, but right now we are filling out the gap. But by bringing more people from Ukraine, more people from the UK are coming back. Now we need to find out what those people like the most, and then we market these cities to them as this is what they like the most. Okay, if we keep it as a mix, if we keep everything as a mix, if our marketing message is given as a mixed marketing message, that doesn't reach the right target audience. Still can reach some few audience. Some people may get interested, but then for other people the message would be too loud, and they wouldn't.
Why?
Because that's not what they are interested. So that's the reason why we are using digital marketing. That's the reason why we are using digital mediums in our modern DNA in order to reach people as per their demographics, as per their interest. That's what's important in modern tourism promotion.
Right. Talking about marketing, each destination separately. How do you expect, or how do you imagine Egypt's travel marketing plan for 2020, for example?
First of all, I was not satisfied, personally, I was not satisfied about what happened for the last few years, because we have not been transparent, especially when it comes to promoting a destination like Egypt. Egypt is a country itself, sell itself, right? All
Exactly,
what we need,
that's what I was saying.
yes, it sell itself.
But
it's
that type
easy.
of confidence.
But all what we need right now is if I'm doing the marketing plan for Egypt, what I would do, I would build it on 3 levels. A level that speaks to the outside world, like going out to new markets, and then delivering to a specific audience, specific needs that they need to see in Egypt when they come and visit, which means, again, speaking to them in the travel persona that they like. That's one thing. The second axis is that
would require a survey also.
Not necessarily, because we are in a time of big data. So throughout analytics and big data, we'll be able to make the right decision without having to make any surveys. In the past, people used to make surveys, used to ask tour operators and stakeholders, you know, what is best for you. Right now, it's easy to find, because there is a huge trail of data is left behind those travelers. We will be able to find out. There are so many ways we'll be able to find out. For example, you're carrying a credit card, right? Which is a purchase behavior. When you go to a country, you would know where you go, what do you do, what's you more interested, where you go, where do you travel, where is destination. By using that big data trails, we'll be able to analyze your behavior, your purchase behavior, and be able to find out what is best for you and proceed with a retargeting or remarketing campaign, so we can retarget you wherever you go. Extremely bad. It is not as nice and delightful as we may think it is. We may have the monuments, we may have the sites, we may have the history, but the day-to-day experience of travelers going through from any area to another area, the way how they get treated throughout providing them with facilities, the ease of access and the ease of movement, it is not yet there. We put our tourists into capsules. They are within the tourist bus with a tour leader, but you don't get back to the time of the 70s where you used to see tourists roaming around the streets on their own, getting into the metro. When a tourist is able to get into the metro and do the bus and rent his own car and drive safely, you would know that you become a very global destination for tourism. The number of tourists that we have right now is very small compared to so many countries that have developed almost twice the number of tourists.
The same thing happened in Africa.
By enhancing their experience.
Some African countries, the same thing is happening.
African countries, what they have done, they used to have one of the worst travel experiences. You know,
Nairobi is the same thing.
Due to civil wars, due to corruption that happened in these countries. But what they did is that they started to divert part of their budget to enhance the tourism experience. I'm so glad and I'm so proud that Egypt have decided that 2020 and the next coming years, and I think our political leadership is so smart that it was able to put this as a main aim in the next few years to focus on enhancing and supporting the tourist industry, because it is a major revenue for income and for hard currency for Egypt. The putting Egypt into this tourist map, putting a lot of destination, a lot of inner areas in Cairo, in Luxor, and Aswan into the tourist map again, that will help boosting tourism for the upcoming season. But let me tell you one more thing. Now we've got one part for the outside markets, you know, promoting them specifically as a target audience. A second part of the budget into enhancing the touristic experience, and that's one of the things that it's so important, by building proper toilets, proper proper transportational areas, like area of transportation, proper ease of access, the way how to reach out the sites, the way how people are treating tourists. That's very, very important. We put a lot of money into investment, a lot of investment into education to educate people how to handle tourists properly. The third part of the budget, what I would do, I will use it to create collaborative relationship between the tourism industry in Egypt and stakeholders of tourism worldwide. I would do a lot of speed networking events in Egypt, bringing buyers, people who make the decision in other areas around the world, in specific countries, specific regions, bringing them over and let them meet face to face with the stakeholders, with the home stakeholders, with the local stakeholders of the tourism industry in Egypt. This way we'll create that kind of connection. This connection is being created in every country around the world. And the last time we ever had a speed networking event in tourism was almost like 15 years ago. We need to bring this back. We need to tell people that we are there. We're still a hot destination for tourism. We are a brand, and our brand is divided into little segments of different brands. Each one has its own persona. We need to do this regularly, not only one time a year. We need to do it several times a year. We need to do it every 2 months or every quarter of the year, and have a host city to become a brand host city. Luxor did that about 3 years ago, and it was extremely successful for a number of travel buyers.
Creating our travel experiences or promoting each spot in its own right. Don't you think Egypt have done that by creating a new type of tourism, conference tourism, festival tourism, even the sports tournaments and championships tourism. These type of tourism haven't been there before. And we have succeeded, we have come a long way. We have succeeded in attracting quite a good number of visitors when it comes to those new types of tourism. So how do you assess it?
We're talking about tourist products that some of the cities are more specialized in providing these tourist products than others, right? That's in itself, it creates part of the persona, but it's not the whole persona. Because as I told you, what characterizes a city or a destination is what creates the travel persona, right? So we may have 2 or 3 types of tourism, of tourist product in a city such as Cairo, for example, right? But then we have to choose which type of that type of tourism to push the most, because there would be other cities that would be more rich with that travel product. For example, if you take Luxor and compare it to Cairo, Cairo is more into history, medieval history, Islamic, Coptic history. It is more into the hustle and bustle of these narrow streets of the souks and spice markets, and how people are getting from one place to the other, and how people are living throughout the day-to-day experience, how the culinary experience that they're having, the food experience they're having in Cairo is unparalleled to, and if you compare it to many other cities in Egypt. But you can't say, for example, that Luxor have a food experience, right? Luxor is not a city where it's so famous for food tourism, or it's not famous for medical tourism, for example, or it's not famous, but it's famous for cultural tourism. It's famous for being a hot spot for where last year when we signed up an agreement with People to People Association for promoting Egypt, or putting Egypt onto their blogs and articles and creating some media content about Egypt. It looks like we didn't brief them well. What happened is that they came up with a video that it's 92% of the video is talking about desert. Is actually concentrating.
That's how most of the world think about Egypt.
About desert. But it's nice to promote desert tourism, but not in the time where we don't allow desert tourism anymore. We don't allow safari in Egypt anymore. You know,
but that's not our fault. Let me tell you, that is not our fault, because
that's because we did not.
Egypt is very popular. From
it is the reason for that is because we trusted people to understand. We trusted people from outside Egypt, which is not bad, but sometimes it's bad because you don't brief them. If you don't brief them, they will do what they have in their mind. If you brief them, they will be able to create what you want. And then we didn't really brief them. We gave them the opportunity to create, to invent the content, but we didn't give them guidance. You see, when cities such as Dubai or Abu Dhabi, when they create content, media content, what they do, they guide. They tell them what to do. Remember, many years ago, I was doing a marketing campaign for Morocco in the Gulf. And when I put my plan, my media plan, one of the things was to take influencers and from different countries in the Gulf into Morocco. What I did is that this time I took 15 influencers. But what I did, every single day, I was commencing a meeting with those influencers. And I would give them instructions, what to do, what to talk about, what to write about, how to link, where we are going to focus, what kind of persona we want to push. We reached out in 1 week about 7 million viewers. Those 7 million viewers, they've had a message that was pre-arranged, written to know where we are targeting. What we do in Egypt is that we are putting a message, and the message is broad. It is not a specific exact message that is targeting a specific audience.
Right. But also, that was how long ago?
It was about 3 years ago.
3 years ago. That's not way long. I mean,
when I did this marketing campaign, it was a big marketing campaign.
Things change from 1 year to the other. I mean, we have the social media, and we have, I mean, the word is I mean, it's very open, and still we can have a lot of information about one country without getting briefed. But talking about also impact of natural disasters, about bad weather, about certain incidents, unpleasant incidents, the novel coronavirus, for example, in China. Though that some believe that the coronavirus is a part of it, like 70% of it is wrong behavior on, I mean, the cultural background of those people in China, the Wuhan wild market in Wuhan, and the practices there, and the wild animals, the dealing with the wild animals, and I mean, a violation of environmental rights and environmental laws that have caused part of it to that disaster. I mean, the impact of coronavirus on a country like China, for example.
First of all, coronavirus is an outbreak. It's a virus outbreak. So this virus outbreak is happening not only in China, it could be happening anywhere around the world. So, for example, Spain at some point had a virus outbreak. United States had a virus outbreak. So many. So virus outbreaks can happen anywhere around the world. Maybe it can hit humanity every 100 years or so. But human contact with animals sometimes can transmit certain diseases. I'm not a doctor to tell you that the impact of how these diseases is actually threatening humanity. But what I can tell you is that the COVID-19, which is the coronavirus, is posing a threat to humans because it is actually ever evolving. It is changing its DNA, like the HIV virus. So that's the reason why it's so bad, that it's infecting the system or different organs of the system and causes organ failures. So because of the scare that the coronavirus have caused in China, and where 92,000 people got infected with the virus and without any vaccine so far, and because of the curfew, because of the medical precautions and the medical procedures that China is doing right now, we were able to contain it within the area of China. Yes, there are some countries where it has number of cases, but still it's not on a global level. Like, for example, when it happened for the Spanish flu, that it killed 50 million people. So we're still in a very small scale of almost.
But it's on the rise.
It is on the rise, but the good news is that there are a number of people that have received medical care, and they have actually recovered from the virus.
Had they?
But what we're talking, yes, 9,000 people have already recovered from the virus. But what we're talking about right now is that China itself have done a tremendous effort of keeping the virus within. The curfew that they imposed, you know, on the people, the procedures that they have actually taken in order to inspect every single person, the experience they developed in dealing with those patients have given the world a lot of indications how to deal with the virus.
They had no choice, by the way.
But it killed the stock market. It slowed the economy, and it caused a lot of deficit and a lot of losses into financial markets. However, the recovery from these things will come soon, but it impacted so much the tourism industry around the world, especially the cruise industry. When they discovered in one of the cruises a number of infected people have actually where these cruises stopped in some of the Chinese ports, especially in Hong Kong, they found a number of infected cases, which impacted dramatically the cruise industry. It made tour operators in the world to shift the destination. Instead of focusing in Southeast Asian destinations, now they are looking into new destinations around the world. If we remained at this level, that we have 1 or 2 cases or 5 cases or 10 cases, that's fine. But if there is, God forbid, an outbreak or something, and there's more cases into it, and if there's no vaccine to the medication, to this virus, then what I would expect, international tourism to shrink.
And no good
and
quarantine
people will
also.
keep in their destinations where medical care is higher, and they will postpone any plans for traveling in the future because of the virus.
But when we talk about 1 case is almost as bad as 10 cases, because if there is not even a good quarantine at that particular situation, then you can never control it. Besides also...
But I have to mention something. I came from Abu Dhabi yesterday, and when I came to the airport, and I was inspected. So I did not come from a Chinese destination, right? I did not come from a flight that originated from a Chinese destination. What I got is that I found medical personnel standing outside the gate, or outside actually from the exit, once we came out from the airplane, and they were inspecting every...
And where was that? Was that in Egypt?
In Egypt. In Egypt. Yes, that didn't happen a month ago,
That's
but
very
it's
good
happening
to hear.
right now.
That's
right?
very good to hear.
I have to tell you that I have traveled to 2 international airports before this trip when I returned back to Cairo, and there was no such inspection. So I think we're progressing. I think we are there, and we are trying to our best knowledge to be ready for it, and I think we're watching. To
recognize the situation. But talking about the Hajj, the expected Hajj pilgrimages, which is going to be a big threat.
It is.
And red flag being wagged at the threatening tourism, or even the flow of people in and out from Egypt. So how is that going? How do you think, or what is your suggestion? How do you see how do you assess that could be handled?
I believe that the virus is going to be limited when summer hits. When summer comes in, the virus is going to be limited because that virus cannot survive more than 24 hours, and temperature over 29, 30 degrees kills the virus. So that's good news, which means summer comes in, kicks in, and it will eliminate a great deal of that virus in many areas around the world. What is expected? No one knows. A lot of diseases take place or spread out, especially in congregations such as the pilgrimage to Mecca. In such a congregation with 2-3 million people, so many diseases have erupted. Actually, one of the types of coronaviruses erupted in that area before in Saudi Arabia. So no one knows what is going to happen, whether that virus is going to spread out or anything. But what I know, what I'm sure of, is that once summer kicks in, it will limit the number of infected cases because of the high temperature. And remember, high temperature kills the virus.
Right. Talking also about you talked about the travel experience, but when we talk about travel experience, we also have to talk about, we shouldn't be neglecting all our cultural background, our history. We have that type of travel experience that we did not, spend a lot of effort creating it, which is our personality and our trends, and how the Egyptians in the streets are very friendly, the food in the street. This has been going, as one of our assets when it comes to...
This is a great experience. When
it comes to special types of tourists, not all the
positive experience. We're talking about engagement with the people. It's a great experience. It's a positive experience.
Exactly.
We're talking about people.
What should we keep and what should we?
Is a positive experience. What I'm talking about is enhancing the travel experience throughout enhancing touristic facilities to people. Right?
But that would work with one tourist and wouldn't work with another. I mean, what type of tourist?
Okay, let me give you an example.
Because we didn't talk about the types of tourists.
Let me give you an example.
Given the fact that we only have 2 minutes left.
Really? Okay. But let me give you an example. When you go to a site like the pyramids, for example, pyramids of Giza, and there are a number of good, sort of like acceptable toilets, right? But then when you go out to these toilets and you check them out, you'll find that they receive zero maintenance. So it repulses people from going into the toilets. People will think, wow, such a big monument, they can't build a proper toilet in there, right? If you go to a place called Memphis, for example, the site for the capital of ancient Egypt, the road to Memphis with all the pumps and all the trash in the way to that road is repulsive to travelers when they talk about, is this one of the hottest important historical part of Egypt that you guys are leaving this? So it is not only part of the Ministry of Tourism or Ministry of Antiquities. It is a collaborative work of the municipality, of the governorate, of everyone involved to get things ready for touristic experience. If you've been to the Citadel, for example, and you needed to go to the toilets, they charge you a ticket to get to the toilets. And when they charge you a ticket, it's only usage of one time. They charge you 10 Egyptian pounds to get to such a place.
But we shouldn't also neglect the boom in the infrastructural projects, that the roads that take us to those places that have saved lots of times. We do not even find it in Europe. We don't even find it in Italy. We don't find it in Greece. We should
progressing in such an amazing way.
Right.
What our political leadership have done for us in the last 5 years could not be done in the last 50 years. We're progressing in such an amazing way. Let's complement this by creating such a wonderful touristic experience. And that's what we all love this country. We want it to be the best, but we also want tourists to be our ambassadors. We want tourists to go back home and say, hey, we had a wonderful experience. Not only the people, not only the sites, not only the history, but we also, whatever we looked for, we found it. You know, the touristic experience is one of the most important factors in enhancing travelers and make them come back again. Repeated tourism is what keeps Italy having 65 million every year, is what keeps Spain having 75 million every year, is what keeps United States having 92 million tourists every year. So why? Because of that touristic experience.
On that very optimistic note, we'll have to end it here. Of course, it was nice having you, Mr. Alaa Khalifa. You're an international tourism promotion marketing, same here, marketing expert. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.